Hey everyone, welcome to today's stream. The stream that will be the last stream of 2020. I'm James with Korg. We do promise definitely more fun in 21. Definitely hope you'll join us for future streams. And to help along with that fun musically, here's one of the products that we introduced in November. Of course, the SQ64 and the Nautilus were also there. Hey everybody, good to see you all. And this is the opsix. We're going to dive in today to FM, and we're going to explore. I'm going to talk a little bit about what makes opsix different in the FM world. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the things you can do just very quickly and easily on the panel. We're going to talk a little bit about FM in general, and we're going to do some demonstrations. As always, any questions that come up throughout the stream, just feel free to post, and we will do our best to answer them. So, without further ado, let's go to my first sound that I wanted to work with here. Oh, that's a fun one. So what makes opsix different in the FM world from things that are out there, things that have been in the past? Well, first a little history on FM. So the long and short of FM was that in the 80s, there was this technology that came out, FM synthesis, frequency modulation synthesis, and it was a completely different approach to creating sounds, and it has such a unique timbre to it. So unique, as a matter of fact, that basically nearly everything that you hear since the 80s has some form of FM in the production. There's very, very telltale sounds that you know and love, things like the lots of basses, lots of, just it has such a unique timbre. So with FM, you can really create these different harmonics between what are the operators. So operators are basically like your oscillators. And what this product does is it allows you to really get in there. So the one thing about FM that's always been the case is that it's always been like really, really hard to program. And when you're in a production situation, a musical situation, a writing situation, and you just need that sound, and you want a unique sound, that's where FM came in. And that's why a lot of the sounds that were basically presets in the early FM products are what you hear. There's not a lot of manipulation going on. But there is so much potential inside of FM. And what we decided to do was to give everyone really super quick access to those things that really make FM what it is. And that's what opsix does. In addition, we've also added more to FM. This is what we call altered FM. And altered FM means, I'll get into every little single piece of that, but altered FM means it takes the basis of FM and then adds additional things. Things that you don't have in any other really FM product out there. So with that, let's talk a little bit about what's going on up here, because this is really important. This is the operator mixer. Now once again, here, operators are kind of like your oscillators, except that you can have them be either sound generating or they could be modulators. Carriers or modulators, you call them. And what you're seeing here in this nice multi-LED display is there's six, it's true 6 operator, and 6 op is like, that's true FM synthesis. There may be some 4 op products and things like that. That's kind of like only part of the equation. Like you really do need the 6 operators to get that true FM sound. It's kind of like, somebody saying like, oh, like here's a 6-cylinder car, but it's really a 4-cylinder car. It's kind of like that. So what we have here is we're showing which ones are the operators as the carriers and which ones are the modulators. And so I'm going to also tell you how that works and how they connect with each other. Firstly, if I just take this sound, and let's go to, I'm just going to make sure I got the right sound here. Oh, I'm in the wrong bank. That might be the problem. Okay, this one. I like this one actually. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these faders down. Now what you're listening to is one carrier operator or oscillator. So this becomes like your fader for the amount of that. And this becomes your edit. So the edit is going to change the frequency. Because again, this is frequency modulation synthesis. Thanks, Sean. Sean, I really appreciate that. Cool. Cool. Nice, Danny. So here, I'm going to just change this frequency. Even just that one knob turn would have taken a long time in a traditional FM product. And you can dramatically change things very quickly. It's kind of like what we did with wave state, where we took again, a arguably very complex synthesis, with these things sequencing under the hood, different PCMs, and all these different things you could do into the sequencer and giving access to those via the mod knobs, right? Those white mod knobs right there. That's like your entryway into the deeper programming of wave sequencing. And what we did here is we took the same approach for FM. And again, we're only listening to one operator working right now, okay? And it's beautiful. I mean, there's a little effect on it. It's really well-rounded. You can also see, by the way, right above me, I've got that screen blown up so you can see what's going on, because I know that sometimes on these streams it's really hard to see, the screens when they're at their regular size. So always I'm going to put a little screen up there for you so you can see what's going on. And you can see a motion sequence going on with the filter as well. And we'll get into that in a moment as well, because of course there is motion sequencing and all these other wonderful things that we have in our other synthesizers across the analog and digital world. So if I bring up operator 2 is a modulator. That basically means that it's modulating operator 1. If it's totally off, nothing's going to happen, but then when you bring it up a little bit, it's using a modulator. Now in FM, there was a modulator that was used. In our product, through Altered FM, we have 5 of them, which I'm going to get into. So there's FM modulation, that's basically carrier to the modulator to the output. There's ring modulator, which carrier modulation output. There's filter, okay, so there's a true filter. There's filter FM and wave folder. We're going to listen to each of those. As a matter of fact, I built a custom set of algorithms, which I'll show you in a second, and that's another thing you can do. I know I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm so excited. So this is modulating, and I know you guys are asking for, let's see, desktop module. You know what, I'll take that as a request, and I will definitely happily pass it on to the engineers at Korg Incorporated for you. Nothing planned at the moment, but certainly, that we love the input. We'd love to hear the way you guys want to work, you guys and gals. So definitely keep those requests coming. Here's a second modulator. Again, tiny little tweaks will give you completely different sounds. Now, take these down. Here's another 2 operators that are carriers, or we like oscillators, right? Who keeps kind of like making the comparison. And the way they associate with themselves is through frequency. See? Polyphony. 32 notes polyphonic, which is, for FM, actually very good. The original FM was 16. There are definitely some products out there with a little bit less. 32 notes polyphonic, and I'm also going to talk to you a lot. It's a demand. I love it, kids. Okay. Thank you. I love the passion. I honestly do. So polyphony is 32 notes polyphonic with up to 8 voice unison, which I will show you. Unison is also another thing that is very cool for FM. I would consider it part of altered FM, and I'll do that for you in a little while into the stream. Let me just keep working through the operator mixer here as like the heart and soul of the editing that we can do to show you how different you can make a sound, how quickly you can do it. So here, just really quickly, here's one oscillator. Here's another oscillator by itself, which by itself might sound a little kind of dissonant because it's not really musically chromatic kind of thing. Same thing here. But when you combine them, and then you got those modulators in there. So the possibilities are endless with every single sound. And I've really just demonstrated probably what would be maybe a couple hours of programming in a traditional FM synthesizer. And that's the point. FM is so capable and so unique, and we just really wanted to give everybody something they could just really dive into. Thank you, Raven. I appreciate that. Now 2 of the operators here are off, and that's fine. And then you got 2 sound generating oscillators. So that's the sounds without the modulators being applied. Change that, and you'll get a completely different sound. Should I get this along with my Kronos? Yes. I mean, it really is a completely different sound set. Granted that the Kronos does have the Mod 7 engine in it. This is different. I mean, there's a lot more going on here. And again, it's also about having a dedicated synthesizer to really work within the FM world with, the same way that you work with wave sequencing in a dedicated way and in a different, more hardware-based way with the wave state, even though there's wave sequencing under the hood in the Kronos. There's a sync out for, okay, so no sync on this one, but you do have traditional 5-pin MIDI and you have USB MIDI as well. In addition, you have a pedal input, not using that today. And then you also have your left-right output and your headphone output, full-size headphone jack. And that's what's going on along the back of the product. So let me see, I'm just making sure I didn't forget anything. Yep, that's the extent of it. Okay, cool. I did mention that we were going to look a little bit at the different kinds of things you can do with the operators. It's very interesting. Go back to this sound for a second. Where is it? Oh, by the way, when you see these lights change color, it's because I'm in different banks. There's 64 favorites, and these 16 step buttons work in different ways. They also work for the sequencer, but if you press shift, like any of our keyboards, when you press shift, there's different writing underneath the keys, and when you're in shift mode, that's what that does. So here's bank 1, bank 2, bank 3, and bank 4. It's one of those classic sounds. Another one. I love that the sequence on this one is just this. Okay. That's another one from the movie. How many sounds does it have? 64 in favorites, but the total amount of sounds in the product right now comes with 258 sounds. Here's your 30-second scroll. And there's a lot of space for writing your own as well. That's right, Jeff. I love the basses. Layer multiple programs at once? No. So we're not multi-timbral or timbral, depending on how you want to say it, in the opsix. What we are, though, is multiple operators, as I've been showing. So each of the operators you can consider to be like a different subsound, and those could be mixed, and that creates layer type effects. So you wouldn't be able to throw those out on different MIDI channels per se, but you would be able to have things stacked on top of each other based on how FM is working here. So there you go on that. I mean, you'll stumble across things in here that you'll probably know from like older songs as well, like, you know, the harmonica solo from What's Love Got to Do with It. It's a little soft for that, but oh, here's another thing. So we're talking a little bit about layers and stuff like that. You got it, man. Thank you, Fisco. Is it Fisco? So because we have these different operators and they could be at different frequencies, here's a fun trick. We're doing that as an organ. So, you know, of course, a traditional, you know, tone wheel or clone wheel organ has the registers, and those registers are different, you know, frequencies that blend together to create the overall sound. Same thing here. So here's one register with like a drawbar. Here's another. Feels like a hearing test. Nice. Let's listen to this one. It's obviously the clap. Okay. We're at a 101. Let's talk algorithms. The way that you can notice with every single one of these sounds that I'm calling up, each one of those operator mixer knobs change color. And the reason for that is because there are different, let me just get some questions here. After I say this, there are different ways of arranging the 6 different components, the 6 different operators, the way that they affect each other. I'm going to show you that on the screen in a second, but let me answer a couple of questions because I see a lot coming through. Easy for recording into FL Studio? Yes, of course, definitely. You've got 5-pin MIDI, you've got USB MIDI as well. It instantly recognizes, it's super easy. Scritty Politti, nice. What do you think about the Dave Smith XL keyboard? Like it? For now, though, I'm going to focus on this guy. So. let's go into here. And let's look at some of the things you can do with algorithms. So algorithms, again, are the arrangements of the 6 operators. So you can see on the screen when I rotate through these, I'm changing the configuration. It kind of looks like dice, or die, but you can see the way they're kind of drawn to each other. So you're working in serial and parallel or combinations of that, and that changes what happens to the oscillators, really, or the operators. So this will sound a lot different than this. And you'll have different editing capabilities as well. So the original algorithms are there, and then there's some additional stuff, and you can also create your own. So it's really interesting because even beyond the operator mixer, just by going into something, let's see here, this is a good one, and then changing the way that the algorithms are laid out, it changes the sound. And there are user oscillators as well. So I did have a sound in here that I created. I'll just go through and find it for a second, if you don't mind. I think it's in here. Right, so here's my homegrown. Let me explain what's going on here. You're listening to one carrier, one operator playing this pluck sound. Right? It is FM on steroids, Robert. That's why we call it altered FM. It does a lot more than FM and also gives you more access to those FM parameters than anything out there. And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to make FM easy and help everyone dive so deep into such an incredibly deep architecture and synthesis. And I really think we've nailed it. What I did here, I mentioned a little earlier that there were 5 modulators here, which is more than traditional FM. So you've got your FM, ring mod, filter FM, and wave folder. You can create your own algorithms. I created this one. If you ever want to see what it looks like, you could just go right into here, and you can go into your miscellaneous, and you can see what's going on. For now, what I want to do is I want to show you what's going on here with the modulations. So I'm going to go into mod, and we're going to change the mode. So let's see here. Okay, great. So right now what you're looking at is my own kind of custom blended algorithm that I did. And what I did was I did it to demonstrate the 5 different modulators. So each one of these is one of those. You can go pretty crazy with modulation. You know, I haven't even gotten into like the virtual patching or anything else like that yet. We'll work on that in a little while. So what I did was I have this one oscillator here, carrier, operator. And what I did was I put in the different modulators. So here's the operator select. So here we're using FM to modulate FM, which is your standard stuff. So I'm going to bring in this to show you how it affects the sound. And notice that the more you push it up, the more dramatic it gets. So it almost like interferes like harmonically. So that's going to be different from this next one, which is ring modulation. Again, still the same single operator that we've been working with, but I'm applying these new mods to it so you can hear what they do. I'm not even turning the knobs yet. I mean, you could. And then the next one is your filter. So this is a filter, actual filter. We have multiple filter types. Some stuff from like Poly 6 and MS-20 being modeled. We have high pass, low pass. Right, I have this MG low pass filter 12, and you can see right on the screen here the way that this works is that these 6 knobs correspond to these 6 boxes inside of the screen, built on the same platform as the Minilog XD and the NTS-1. Good question, Chuck. It's not. So NTS-1 is a multi-engine, which is a digital oscillator, much like FM is digital. But it's different in how it approaches it. So it's kind of a different model. You can load your own stuff into it in that way because it's open source. Minilog is analog. So you can basically, it's very different. So that's 4 voices polyphonic analog, where with a multi-engine built into it as well. So you got like that analog digital hybrid. I mean, really, it's kind of like what we were saying in the beginning a little bit about how FM is truly a very unique synthesis. So in that way, I would say that it is even different from everything else that we've done, recently, including the wave state, because it's just coming from a completely different place of how you work and what kinds of sounds come out of it. It would not be unfair to say that they're completely different from each other in what you produce with them. So there is that. So this is the filter, simple filter. You can choose the mix of the oscillator. You can choose what kind of a filter. And then there's the filter interfering, or we'll take that one down, and then we'll go to the next one. And the next one is filter with FM. This one gets nice and percussive. So just look at it. With one operator, look at all the possibilities through the different modulators. And again, because it's frequency modulation, the more you push it, the different the results it's going to be. And then last but not least, we have wave folder. Without, with, and there's a gain knob on there so you can kind of decide how much distortion it gets. You could also mix the oscillator to the original. Look at this amount of control, it's just so easy. And then of course, you could start playing around with all of them if you want to. So that's the algorithm that I made to show you all of the different modulators that you can apply to just a single operator. It's really exponential, so I wanted to boil it down to what you can do right here. So, and you're very welcome, Chuck, by all means. Let's talk a little deeper here. I want to use that sound, just a single pluck, and then let's go into voice. So somebody asked, what's the polyphony structure of this product? The polyphony structure is 32 notes polyphonic, but you do have unison. This sound is being used in unison, and you can just go right here to the voice mode, and you could choose. It could be mono legato, soloing, mono, or you can go unison. So this is without. This is the sound that was just by itself. No problem, Paul. That's what we're here for. And then here it is with some unison. So you could choose your detune, of course. This is 2 notes, unison. Choose a spread. And here it is all the way up to 8 notes. I'll kind of like overdo the detune just to give you a... Let's stay with that. Yes. We're going to go into effects. So effects are just as easy. It's great to have effects on an FM synthesizer, of course. You know, back in the day, you didn't have any effects on your FM synthesizer. Here we have a triple effects processor, and it's very easy to use. So you just go into the effects mode and you get to choose what you want in the 3 slots. And you can see that again on the screen above me, which I blew up there so everybody could see, you know, what you got. So I got reverb on here. There's different reverb algorithms. I like space. Yes. Let's move on to the next. We have a limiter right now. We could change that to something else if we want to. I'm going to change it to a flanger. And now your flanger's on. You have your mix depth. The effects are really like the icing on the cake. And you have 3 of them in every single program. They could all be changed to your heart's content. This one actually has a little bit of a guitar amp on it. So I guess you could drive it a little bit. You could even choose the amp. Here's a Vox amplifier. A lot of models, which is what's great about digital. I'll change this to a delay. Tape echo. Tempo based. Cool. Sequencer time. I'm going to clear that out. Let's look at the sequencer here. What key is this in? Cleared out. And let's just, I'm going to do it, you could do it real time or you could do it step. I'm going to do it real time. You get a metronome. So there's our sequence for now. Good question, Chuck. So they're both the Volca FM and obviously the opsix are FM, and they can both load DX, traditional FM systems exclusive. You can load that in, and they'll both react in a different way because it's based on their structure, of course, you know, with the Volca FM being like three notes polyphonic and stuff like that. But you can load that in. So because they are both FM engines, they could both take in that systems exclusive. You're probably going to be able to do just a touch more with this because of the way it's set up and the way you can edit it and so on and so forth. But they both will kind of receive that because they're both FM engines. Back to this for just a second. I wanted to kind of demonstrate the modulation. So what I want to do is I want to just kind of choose what I want to do. Let's do this. Perfect. I'm going to record. It knows I'm doing something. It says recording motion on the screen. I can do that again and again and again. You can load SysX into it, yes. So you can see I'm recording all these motions. So nice, capable sequencer as well. It's based off the Minilog XD sequencer. So again, fully polyphonic sequencer for notes, 16 steps. You can also kind of clock divide those steps if you want a little bit of a longer sequence. And then, of course, your motion sequencing. What's great about this is also it's got that metronome on it that you can choose to defeat or keep on. And that really helps a lot as well when you just want to see the wraparound point and get back to 1 again. So, you know, nice, capable sequencer as well. And it's great because just like everything else, so whether it's the settings here or the effects or the sequence, that's all saved into a single program. And then that program can be called up however you like. We could put it into a favorites like I've been doing. There's 4 banks. You could see those banks very easily by going into your favorites, and you can go here. Here's the 4th bank. You can save that. Again, there's over 200 sounds in it. To start, there's a lot of other close. Yeah, that's the thing, Robert. This is a great experimental tool. So again, with FM, back in the day when FM first came out, the thing about it was that we all heard these presets that became ubiquitous with the music and have been used ever since. And that's because, original FM, it sounded really good and nobody really bothered to kind of program it beyond the presets. Very rarely did that happen. And for that reason, you've got those great presets. At the same time, there's so much to explore beyond those presets, and there's so much you can do. And the way that this product lets everyone edit is what really makes it special. It's that operator mixer combined with usually being able to flip a switch and change the way the algorithms are arranged and just completely take over the sound. And that's what really makes it fun. I mean, that makes FM fun. And it's just so deep to explore. I mean, I've only been doing a couple of sounds here, but again, just breaking it down to having one operator or one oscillator, however you want to call it, a carrier operator. I want it to be kind of associative, so I'm going to say it like that. And then, with one modulator, you can already start to see what can happen. So take these all down. It's like, this is one sound. Here's another. You're kind of pitting them against each other for frequency. And here's your modulation. Yeah, Chuck, that's why this might be a good investment, especially if you like that kind of sound that's very unique, which is what FM offers. This is, obviously it's a lot more polyphony, it's a lot more playable, it's a lot more savable. Obviously, it's just a different way of working with that engine, and you're getting more with it, comparatively, obviously with Volca being the price that it's at and the opsix being the price it's at. And it's both, I believe, still punching well above their weight, as far as like price to power ratio. But yeah, you're going to have a lot more hands-on here. You're going to have a lot more visual feedback. We love the visual feedback that happens not only on the screen, but also with the lights. We've been doing that a little bit more lately. This is a great example of using multi-LEDs to kind of like signify what's going on. And I love that. See, this is the original bank. So let's take that bell for a second. Now again, just breaking it down. That first operator is just doing this, which is beautiful by itself. And then we're going to basically interface that with, pardon me, my headphone wire is hitting my lavalier wire and it's causing a scratchy sound. So introduce this carrier. So by themselves, just a pretty bell sound, but it's really the modulators that are creating that metallic sound. See? By itself, and then that modulator comes in, and the harder you push it, these are synth action keys, Pat. Same as the wave state. See what's happening here? These are modulating. So this carrier is making the sound, this modulator is modifying it. Carrier, modulator, carrier, modulator. So each of these has its own job. See, this doesn't work without the sound to modulate it. And then, of course, the coarse ratios, the way the sounds kind of work between each other with frequency modulation. You could basically go from like an electric piano to a bell. Now, of course, one other fun thing that's really great about opsix, if I could just get into this bank, I believe. Where is that? That one. You know, classic saw. Randomizer. So even with all of this incredible programming that we can do on the fly, there is still randomizing. And randomizing is great. So we saw randomizing first pop up on Korg products in the wave state. And that was a way of us kind of having a little fun, you know, throw a roll of the dice. We can hit this and just basically let it do its own sound. So, you know, whatever, creative block, want to throw the dice a little bit, have some fun, see what the keyboard comes up with by, you know, basically randomizing all the parameters that make up the sound. And we're going to do that. So if you hit the randomize button, first of all, the thing that's cool is that immediately you can see what you can randomize, and you could choose the scope of the randomization. You could just make it an operator or a bunch of envelope generators or whatever, or you can make it all. So for me, I'm going to make it all. And then I'm going to basically, what I've done ahead of time, because we're all transparent here, is I've changed the amount to 50. So 100 could be a little extreme, because if you think about it, if an envelope has a full open and a full close, if it goes down to 0, you're not going to hear it. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that my randomization is within a certain parameter set, and that helps me to kind of like get different things out of it. So that's just by me playing around with it, and that's just a tip. When you start going into that, maybe start out at 50, work your way up to see how extreme it goes and how extreme you want it to be. But I'm going to just press yes here, and now this saw is going to become something else. I don't know. So the algorithm set changed. Let's do it again. Ooh, fun. The effects are getting changed around here. So I like the soundtrack for Cyberpunk 2077. What? That's fun. So this all came from this. I knew I was going to get a comment for that. Oh, Paul. Yeah. It's kind of a letdown. Kind of a big old letdown. What can I say, man? What can I say? We all wanted it. All this from a simple saw. It's so awesome. And then if you go to a different sound and do that, you're going to get different results, right? So here's for bass. We're going to deviate 50%. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Yeah, I'm telling you. It's interesting. Nico, with the randomizer, it's like if you're just done and you just want to do something completely different, you could just press that button. You could have a field day with it. And, you know, if you want it, you don't have to be as extreme even as 50%. If you just want the keyboard to do something a little different than the sound that you're currently on, you could even make it a little smaller. So go to here, take the amount to 25%, right? So here's the sound. It does a great job of making random sounds. And it's because it's doing everything to everything. It's doing the effects, it's doing the operator ratios, it's doing everything. So obviously some different stuff for the envelope there. Sometimes it turns the arpeggiator on. Like, I love that. So from here, with that, I would probably go into the effects, right? Or the filter, or whatever, and I would just basically, that's a grain shifter. So let's put that back to a reverb. Kind of cool. And close out, do a little effects, do some new sounds here. There's one in here that I really like. Let's see if I can find it. Nice percussive stuff. There's so much to explore. It's so wonderful. I think it's Sakura is the sound I want. There it is. This is fun. There's a drum. Another drum. Great presets. One last thing is the Spectral analyzer. Really cool thing. Because you are dealing with frequency modulation, so you do want to see the way the sounds actually look. It's not a gimmick, it's really a spectral analyzer. And it'll kind of show you what's going on. So you can see like this a little bit more bottom-ended, and you can see that kind of happening here. It's a good tool, especially when you're doing a lot of fun programming and you're maybe in your studio for like, God, just like 3 hours went by and like your ears are like, oh, I don't know, like my ears are a little tired. Spectral analyzation will let you kind of see, analysis will let you kind of visualize what's going on with all those frequencies. So that's a nice little touch as well. So again, to wrap up, opsix, 32-note polyphonic with up to 8-voice unison, true 6 operator synthesizer plus altered FM, which is incorporated all over the place. You've got 5 different modulators, you've got randomization, you've got different envelope structure, you've got filters, you've got effects, you've got a 16-step sequencer, fully polyphonic with motion sequencing and metronome. You have 64 favorites, but there's over 250 sounds on board. There's a space for a lot more. You have the mixer panel, which allows you to immediately take control of the deepest attributes of FM, the carriers and the modulators, and you can see which ones are which. You can create your own algorithms. You could go into one mode and change the algorithm immediately on the fly. All of these things would be so really time consuming on a traditional FM synthesizer, and we wanted to be able to have everyone explore. So listen, on a closing note, I always want to thank you all for joining us for these streams. You know, we love to kind of just show you the stuff, you know, make sure we're getting your questions answered, hopefully get you excited about the product for music making and now and, you know, into 2021 and beyond. It is the end of 2020. It is officially the last stream from me, or on the Korg side, for 2020. So I want to wish you all a very, very happy new year. More fun in 21, more music making. I think it's going to be a great year. It's going to be a great year. And I just thank you all for an incredible year of joining us and just engaging and asking great questions. We really appreciate it. From everybody here at Korg to you, you know, best wishes for a safe, wonderful, happy, wonderful musical new year. And we'll see you soon. Take care.